morning. Welcome to the Financial Market Show, your day-to-day program that gives you daily updates on the performance of the various financial instruments out there. It's me, Nampija Gloria Christine, together with
Victor Chiberu.
Yes, welcome back, as we said, and we would love to start with Uganda as usual. We'd love to see the interesting updates from the Uganda Securities Exchange and how it ended there. Right, Victor?
Yes, certainly. Diving right into it, yesterday marked the end of actually yesterday was the Independence Day, so of course the market was not in action.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it was closed.
We still indeed carry updates from its previous trading session. So diving right into it, of course, the corresponding market value of the Uganda Securities Exchange still stands at 81,566,251 Ugandan shillings, and a total of 2,627,387 shares were traded.
Absolutely, Victor, and this activity reflects the vibrancy of the market on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And right now, the market capitalization on the USE is 16.1 trillion Ugandan shillings, and I think this is a really impressive figure.
It is impressive, but it is kind of concerning to see that it has not changed over the past month.
Exactly, and Victor, suddenly we have various equities that participated in the last trading session on the USE, and we had about 6 gainers and 2 losers, and showcasing a mixed performance of these performers on the USE.
Certainly. So moving to the players within this market, we have the East African breweries that took the lead among the gainers, and it had a substantial 6.13% share price. So of course, moving to the price they closed at, which of course is at 3,312 Ugandan shillings per share, and of course following closely we have Equity Bank, Jubilee Holdings, as well as KCB Group.
Oh wow, and indeed, these are remarkable gainers, and however we also saw 2 companies at first on the flip side and a bit of a challenge. While we had Bank of Baroda that had a depreciation, share price depreciation of 0.99%, and Centum Investment that had a share price depreciation of 0.8%. So it is really essential to note that the bullish market, some companies may face short-term challenges out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, diversification and risk management are crucial in any investment strategy, Gloria. So now, when it comes to volume, Bank of Baroda, Uganda, took the top spot with a trading volume of 1.84 million shares.
Interesting.
And following closely was Stanbic Bank Uganda, MTN Uganda, as well as Umeme.
And remember, and moving on to their market indices, we saw the benchmark of the USE All Share Index that recorded a positive movement, and this was increased by 9.05 points. And this is a notable gain of 0.98%, closing at around 928.74.
I think that
though, however, over the past week and month, we see some losses, and this indicates that the investors actually need to be careful and monitor these markets before actually investing.
Of course. And on the other hand, the Uganda Securities Exchange Local Company Index saw a minor decrease of 0.03%, closing at 278.39 points. It is worth noting that even slight movements can, of course, have an impact, so investors should pay attention to these details.
That's right, Victor, and this actually wraps up our summary from the trading week on the USE, and it's been an eventful week, rather.
It really has.
Exactly, and we'll keep you updated on the latest information from the Uganda Securities Exchange. So allow me to drop into the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and we see how it went down on the market as of yesterday.
Well, of course, getting to have a closer view on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, we will not miss to state that it is the leading stock exchange within East Africa, and it is situated right within the heart of Nairobi, Kenya.
Exactly, and since it's a brand new week, we are going to give you the latest updates from there, right, Victor?
Of course.
Exactly, and the NSE offers world-class trading facilities for all local and foreign investors who want to tap into Kenya's booming economy. And speaking in history, in 2014, the USE demonetized and became listed on its own main board following a successful IPO that raised around 627 million Kenyan shillings.
Of course, that is quite a significant milestone for the Nairobi Securities Exchange.
Exactly.
And to help investors gauge market performance, the Nairobi Securities Exchange introduced the Nairobi Securities Exchange All Share Index back in 2008. So it's market capitalization weighted index and it's considered benchmark for the Kenyan stock market. Of course, it stays at that.
Oh, interesting. And we're looking into it. They didn't stop there. So in collaboration with the FTSE International, the Nairobi Securities Exchange actually brought the FTSE NSE Kenya 15 under Kenya 25 indices. So this is essential for index tracking funds and derivative products.
Of course. So that was a brief insight on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and of course it is for you to understand how this market flows and how all these markets are different in their particular ways. So of course, getting right into today's trading summary, of course, a total of 6,463,000 shares were traded, and of course the market value still stays at 161,129,515 Kenyan shillings. However, compared to the last trading day, we did see an 88% decline in the volume and a 78% decline in turnover, and of course a 6% decline in the deals.
That's quite a drop, Victor, and it's essential to keep in mind that the market activity can fluctuate. So investors, you really should stay informed before you take any move in this.
Of course.
And the current market capitalization of the NSE actually stands at 1.47 trillion Kenyan shillings.
Well, of course, now talking about the equities that participated in the trading day, we of course there were 46 Nairobi Securities Exchange listed companies in the mix, with 15 gainers and 21 losers.
21
Any
losers.
highlights on that?
Well, we had TPS East Africa Sirena that took the lead actually among the gainers with a significant 9.48% share price appreciation, and we had also it closing at around 12.720 Kenyan shillings per share.
Well, of course, it is great to see some companies doing well, but other notable gainers include Everyday, East Africa, we have Trans-Century and East African Breweries.
Exactly, and looking at the flip side, we have some companies that faced challenges on their last trading day, and we had Sanlam Kenya that had a tough day with around 9.09% share price depreciation, and followed by Unga Group, and then FH Group and Nairobi Securities Exchange itself. Yes.
It's actually amazing because we never really see these kinds of movements within the markets themselves.
Exactly, and when it comes to volume, we had Equity Group Holdings that took the spot with around 3.43 million that traded shares, and closing floor was it Absa Bank?
Yeah, I'm seeing Absa Bank Kenya. We have Safaricom and Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Exactly, and looking into the market indices, Victor, how did it go down as of yesterday?
Well, of course, the Nairobi Securities Exchange All Share Index saw a slight increase of 0.11 points. And of course, this was a 0.12% gain, closing at 93.60 Kenyan shillings. However, the past week and month, we did see some losses, and of course, it indicated importance in tracking the market trends.
Interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we had from the Nairobi Securities Exchange. That was our wrap-up summary. Now let's dive into the Johannesburg Securities Exchange and see how it went down in South Africa on the last trading day.
I really love when we get to talk about Johannesburg because I feel like it is a tight spot for it and Nairobi Securities Exchange. There is a really big fight for reputation because South Africa has a lot going on in its market, and we see that its market capitalization still stands almost at the same point as the Nairobi Securities Exchange.
So, and we have really interesting updates from the JSE. And in the last trading session, we saw a total of around 300 million shares changing hands, actually. And from the total market value of around 16 billion. Can you imagine?
16 billion.
Yeah, 16 billion.
So, of course, it is worth noting that compared to the last trading day, we saw some improvements. Volume increased by 10%, turnover by 13%, and the number of deals by a whole 8%.
Wow, interesting. And when it comes to the market capitalization on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange, we had about 16.2 trillion, and that's quite impressive on the scale of the market itself.
It really is impressive. But diving right into the equities that participated in trading, we had 325 Johannesburg Securities Exchange listed companies in action, with the 145 gainers and 148 losers. So it was a mixed bag of results.
Interesting, Victor. And among these gainers, we had around Go Life International Limited, and that had a fantastic day with a remarkable 100% share price appreciation.
Amazing.
100%.
Amazing.
Well, that's new. And closing at around 0.02 per share. And following closely were Choppy's Enterprise, we had Labat Africa and Libstar Holdings.
Well, but on the flip side, we did have some companies facing challenges. We had Steinhoff International Holdings that had a tough day with a significant 33.33% depreciation in its share price. Of course, followed by AO Tech Solutions and Cognition Holdings, as well as Sebata Holdings.
With Sebata Holdings,
it has had quite a rough few months.
Well, Sebata Holdings hasn't been common on the market, and seeing it coming up and it having a rough day, it's really
You think it is impressive?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Certainly.
Yeah, so let's talk about the volume, and Growth Point Properties took the spot with 32.2 trillion traded shares. Interesting. And followed closely by Redefine Properties and Sibanye Stillwater and Pan Africa Resource.
Wow. And now for our market indices, the FTSE Johannesburg Securities Exchange All Share Index, also known as the J203, saw a slight decrease of 8.86 points, which is a mere 0.01% drop, closing at 71,648.39 rands. But it is essential to consider the broader picture, looking at the past week and the month. But over the week, we did see a 0.58% gain, as well as that was over the month. And of course, there was a 2.72% loss.
Oh, wow. Absolutely. And investors, I say it again, you should keep a close eye on the performance of these markets.
Of course.
And looking at these indexes, we had a year-to-date performance whereby we had a 1.92% loss.
That is a remarkable one because, of course, we're seeing a lot of action going on within the previous updates, but seeing a 1.92 loss in a percentage, I feel like is something that needs to be observed, and I hope there's a lot more to be shown by these listed equities.
Exactly, and that's the wrap-up summary from the Johannesburg Securities Exchange. We'll be back with more updates concerning Lusaka, Nigeria, Ghana, and more. Let's have a short break. We'll be back with more information. Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda. Yeah, the taste of Uganda. The taste of Uganda.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#.